Many different kind of ships. There's relationships, there's situationships, companionships.
I think of the situationships are the most hilarious to me.
We're in a situationship.
So what is the situation? You know what?
It's a ship.
And that's going to have, for me, and I think for you also, a really pretty chunky number of people. Not everybody has a chunky number of people. Part of the messy world of relationships and love of all types is that it is so imperfect and we're so not good at it. So many of us are so not good at it.
I'm really good at it.
Well, but you make mistakes.
I do make mistakes.
And everyone does.
But everyone does.
Yeah, I think I kind of look around and be like, oh, we're climbing together. All right, let's keep going. As opposed to being like, you climb with me.
I'm off from you and you. Let's all go up the mountain and play mahjong.
Yes.
Artlist.io.
Hello. Welcome. My name is Nilla, and welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast. I travel the world helping individuals and partners find the relationships that they want in their lives.
And I'm Big Sexy, her loving husband and co-host, here to provide levity.
Brevity and levity, both of those things. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'm super excited. This year, I think we are going to take some of the learnings from last year and we're going to apply them immediately. And I'm first just going to let our faithful listeners know that we are going to continue to talk about relationships. But this year, we're going to focus on one specific kind of relationship, and we're going to dig deep into that kind of relationship. Big, do you want to do the honors and let folks know what we're going to be talking about this year?
Well, there are many different kind of ships. There's relationships, there's situationships, companionships.
I think of the situationships are the most hilarious to me. I don't know why that word in of itself I find just absolutely
we're in a situationship.
It's like, what is the situation? You know what?
It's a ship.
That's what I want to know, though, is I'm so nosy. I want to know what the situation is.
Right. So we're going to be focusing on friendships.
Friendships of all types. And I want to let you guys know why we want to focus on this area specifically. One, I think that we do friendship really, really well. I think on average, you and I tend to have a greater number of friends and that we tend to have a deeper level of connection with those friends than I think is typical for most adults of our age.
Agreed.
And I'm curious as to, I guess part of what I wanted to do today as we set the stage, I want to get an idea of, for you as someone who spends and invests a lot of time, energy, and effort into building and creating social networks, which I'll get to the science of why that's important in just a second. What is it that helps you to create friendships as an adult? And how do you get over the barriers that people face in terms of how they get to friendship? So I kind of want to just talk about friendship broadly today, but specifically, like, how do you build and create social networks, social friendships?
Well, thank you for asking. I appreciate the question.
Absolutely.
My go-to is friendships. Like, my initial reaction to meeting new people is, oh, here's a new potential friend. And I start exerting some effort into building that relationship. I learn what I can about them, how much ever they want to share. I, get to know them. I send random hellos. I invite them to functions and outings. because I understand that familiarity breeds friendships, right? You start
Okay.
hanging around some people repeatedly, that can lead toward friendship. It doesn't always. We go to work with some people day in, day out, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
We see those people more than we see our family, and yet they're not friends. They're just coworkers.
Sometimes.
But sometimes, right?
I gotta say, I find that a lot of people, because of that specific thing that you're talking about, do actually find friendship at work.
Yes.
And that's primarily where they find friendship, almost as a way to survive, which again, there are scientific reasons why we need other people to survive various different environments. And friendship is such a healthy social engagement. It's like healthy in so many different ways.
Right.
And yet there is a significant decline in terms of the number of people who experience extreme and significant loneliness, the people who lack social networks, who would describe themselves as having no friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the average number of friends, I think, is declining across time, where, I don't even know how many decades ago, we had a certain number of friends on average, and that average has started to decline.
Right.
Even though we all know that having healthy friendships is important. I think it's probably good to give some context about that too, because the number of friends that you have actually is not the most important measure. The most important measure is actually the quality of friendships that you have.
Right.
And when you were talking about how you encourage and maintain, or encourage and begin friendships, the question I have for you is, how do you determine which friendships are worth investing in? And how do you know you're investing in healthy friendships?
Well, I put everything at the base level. Like, I try to invest as much time with each friendship. But honestly, when I think about it, it's what comes back, right? Like, you feed what feeds you.
Okay.
As I meet people and go through life, because I meet hundreds of people everywhere I go, and I befriend a lot of them, right? But not all of them become, the quote unquote friend that most people mean when they say that word, right? I consider, almost everybody I know a friend, and
Interesting.
that's my usage of that word is much more generalized.
I've heard you say that before.
Right.
I think of friendship, and I think of friendship, I think in I think in pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think about Friendship Mountain. I don't know where this concept comes from. It's something I've chatted with to folks for a long time when we talk about friendships, particularly when folks are struggling to find friends. And I think it's an apt analogy, right? So think about a mountain, right? And at the bottom of the mountain is base camp. And base camp is easy, right? Base camp doesn't require me to do anything. Whoever shows up there shows up there. Sometimes people have the equipment, sometimes they don't, but everybody can kind of hang out at base camp. There's not really a whole lot of investment at the bottom of the mountain, right? The air is good, things are good. It's a pretty easy place to be for the most part. Those are the people that are folks that I'm nice to, cordial with. That's the majority of people in the world.
Those are acquaintances,
right? Folks who would say like, hey, we should do a coffee sometime. And maybe we do, and maybe we doesn't. Right? But there's not really a whole lot of investment or interaction or engagement. We just happen to be in the same general vicinity as these folks, whoever that might be, whether that's digital, whether that's, physical, whatever that might be. Go up a level to like the easy hike. And those are the folks I just enjoy doing stuff with. We don't have serious conversations. We're not really, adding support to each other's lives, but we do enjoy hanging out and doing whatever a thing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's another level of friendship. And that's going to have, for me, and I think for you also, a really pretty chunky number of people. Not everybody has a chunky number of people in that arena, but we fortunately do, because I think we have a lot of differing interests that can socially connect us to other people. So we have a pretty healthy, easy hike group. Then you're going to start to get to the more advanced hikes, right? Where the air is a little bit thinner, where you have to actually really rely on each other more than just, hey, did you bring lunch today? Right.
Mhm.
And the higher you go up that mountain, the fewer people you're going to find that are willing to do the work necessary to maintain that kind of friendship.
Right.
And you're also going to find those folks that maybe aren't really equipped. Whereas in base camp and easy hike, it was great. You were really a wonderful person to walk with. But when I really need to count on you, you're maybe not equipped to actually be able to walk this level of friendship with me, right?
Right.
And vice versa. I also rarely acknowledge that there are tools that I might not have that would allow me to be a good friend to certain folks. So as you go higher, those people start to fall away until you get to those mountain peak folks. And I think those mountain peak folks, one, they reveal themselves in times of adversity. I think that they can often be quite surprising in who they end up being and who they end up not being,
Mhm.
as the case may be. And those are the folks that, when the air is thin and we are in struggle, that will both help you in those terrifying moments of the climb and also celebrate with you at the peak.
I was gonna say that there's also that level of I saw because my Instagram memes are all friendship and love based, right? Because
Sure.
I've cultivated those little things. And I saw one the other day that said, was a guy talking about friendships and says we have a wide variety. Some of us have a large number of friends we can go to when things are tough, when things are struggling and it's difficult. We have somebody we can go to. But how many of those friends can you go when you're celebrating a win, right? When you're really thrilled about something, when you're really excited, because I bet that number is smaller than the struggle number. And that really resonated home. So I could go to if, I need to connect with somebody and talk to somebody. And then I thought, who do I connect with to celebrate? This past year has been the last year was a lot of celebration, right? And a lot of moments of celebration. And who did I go to say, hey, look at this amazing thing that I did, other than just a quick social media post, which friends did I reach out to personally to express that joy?
And which friends reached out to me to also celebrate with me when these wonderful and fantastic things happened in my life, in my career, in our social world. I think you're absolutely right. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
Oh, I was saying, that list is smaller, than folks who I would go to if I just need another body there, somebody to talk to or vent to, whatever.
Yeah.
I like to think that on the flip side, I try to think of myself as that friend. Like I would love for the people I consider a friend to come to me to celebrate their wins, but I know that in their life, I'm not that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that. I do think that to me, that has always been a key measure of friendship, which is who's clapping for you, right? Who's
Right.
cheering for you when things are going well. I think it's also great that people can be there for you when things are not going well. That's an important aspect of friendship. But I think we're going to have some conversations about different kinds of friendships and how friendships can, like all relationships, either grow, become healthier, become stronger, and also those friendships that can wither and become ill and fall away
And dissolve
and die. And how we navigate, how to understand if our friends are to us, what am I trying to say?
I'm not.
I'm trying to say, yeah. No, give me a second, guys. Let me pause for a moment. Let me gather my thoughts. I think that we often have the idea that friendships are going to last for a lifetime, and particularly when we really enjoy people in our lives, it can be really devastating when those friendships don't. And what the research says is that for most adults, I think the average is something like 1 in 12 friendships will actually be a lifelong friendship, which is a lot of friendships that are not going to be lifelong friendships, which means as adults, we experience a lot of loss around friendships. Just think, if you have 12 friends, 11 of them at some point, that friendship is going to end for a variety of different reasons.
Right.
So I think it's going to be important to talk about what builds friendship, what maintains friendship, and also how do you support yourself when friends go away, when friendships end, when friends ghost you, when friends start to mistreat you in some way, when friends bully you, which is something that I see on a pretty frequent basis. So we're going to be talking all different aspects of friendships. Some of it's going to be bright and sunny, and some of it's going to be a little bit dark. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. No, there is some darkness.
There is some darkness. There is some darkness.
Yeah.
What else can we say about friends?
Well, let's. I mean, how personal do we want to get on this topic? Because we can dive individually personal and talk about our friendships and friendships that we have and haven't had and that have gone away, and how deep do we want this rabbit hole to go?
Well, I think we can. When you say how deep does this rabbit hole want to go, first, I think this rabbit hole is going to go pretty deep because we're going to be talking about this for the next year. So I'm certain at some points we'll be talking about personal friendships. I want to take a moment to first think about how I want to share about my friendships. I'm not sure if I want to reach out to different folks about how they would feel about my sharing. I'm probably not going to do that. I don't know that that's necessarily something that's required, but I do want to be thoughtful in the way that I talk about my own personal friendships, in part because I care about those folks, even if those friendships maybe aren't as close and present as they once were.
Right.
So I don't want to just kind of willy-nilly go off and be like, all right, well, here's the dirt. Even though there's dirt. And, part of that too is I also want to think about my own role in the ending of those friendships, because, I certainly wasn't always the great friend who just got abandoned, right? There are things that we do that sometimes cause the end of relationships because we are human, me included. So, part of the messy world of relationships and love of all types is that it is so imperfect and we're so not good at it. So many of us are so not good at it.
I'm really good at it.
Well, but you make mistakes.
I do make mistakes.
And everyone does.
But everyone does.
But
I make very few.
And recognizing and starting to have some self-reflection about how the way we engage and the way we behave makes a difference in the quality of our friendships is important. And that's something that I got to kind of sit with a little bit. There were some spaces in my life where I certainly wasn't a great friend to folks. I think I was the best friend I could be at the time, but that's a different conversation. So to answer your question, all of that to say, let's see.
Yeah,
let's see what develops. I don't know that we got to talk about everything today right now,
right?
But I do want to see what unfolds. And I imagine that will include something personal for each of us.
Yeah. Well, today's episode is how to meet friends. So let's dive into that. So let's dive in how we go about meeting and making friends.
Right. I think, well, you want to start? Or
no, I want you to start because I always start these things.
I think there's a couple things that we do that really help us to create connections with people right away. First, I think that we both have individual passions that we seek out, which means that when we get to those places, whatever they might be, we find people that have shared interests. So that's always a good start. So, for example, as you all, I don't know if does the listening audience know?
Oh, I'm sure they know.
That for the listening audience, for those folks who don't know, my passion is pole fitness. I love pole dance. I could spin around on that thing for hours.
I just heard a collective duh.
Whatever. And so that to me creates pretty instant connection because folks who are interested in that, and there are a broad range of folks who are interested, from folks who are just kind of mildly interested to folks who are super into it, just like I am. it creates a sense of connection and community for me. There's a place I'm always going to go. There are people I'm always going to be working with. There are things I'm always going to be doing because I am engaged in that sport. And I think that's true of any sport that you are dedicated to, whether that's pole dance or pickleball or, whatever it would put you in regular contact with other folks.
Right.
So that's for me.
Yeah. Well, now I have a question though in that aspect.
Sure.
What is it in somebody that makes you say, "Oh, I want that person to be my friend"?
I don't know that I ever look at a person and say, I want that person to be my friend. I think that I just look at people and I think that's a person, right?
Okay.
My theory of friendship is that people, and I think I've said this here just about relationships generally, which is that people as human beings, we're just sticky. Socially, we're just sticky. And so I don't really prejudge who will or will not be a friend to me. To me, friendship is meeting a person and deciding that I want to continue to spend time with them. That's really all that is. And so I can't predict. I don't think I've ever looked at someone. Well, let me think. Is there anyone that I have looked at and said, I want to be that person's friend that wasn't on TV? There's a couple people on TV. What's the name of the actress?
Not Natasha or not Nadia.
Nadia from What We Do in the
What We
Shadows.
Do in the Shadows.
Basically,
the character Nadia.
Anyone in the entire cast of What We Do in the Shadows, I want to be your friend actively.
Yes.
Right? I just want
Yes.
to hang out with you guys. Y'all seem like you would be amazing and have just a blast to hang out with. Other than that, though, like just walking around in the streets, I don't know that I have ever looked at someone and said, I want to be that person's friend, as opposed to walking through the streets and wondering who's going to be my friend. That's a different thing.
That's a different feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you look at people and say, I want that person to be my friend?
Yeah.
Interesting.
How do
you make that
oddly
decision?
enough, look at people and go, that person's going to be my friend.
Okay. And how do you come to that decision?
It's a vibe.
Okay.
It's a feeling. It's an energy.
No, I definitely get that vibe. I don't know that it's like a vibe that I like direct at people.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it directly from people. Like I can walk into a room full of people, look around, and know like, oh, me and that person's gonna connect. Me and that person may not connect. There'll be some kind of thing here, but me and that person are really gonna connect. And then I think because I have those initial reactions, I foster those, and so I make those into reality.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. That again, I think maybe I just
every now and then I'm surprised. I know.
I think like a lot of things, you and I are just very different in the sense that I'm just much more laid back in my approach to the way I do some different things.
And I'm in your face.
And you're very much in your face.
Yeah.
No question about that.
Yeah. And again, I've been surprised by people that I have sought friendship out and it has not been reciprocated. And so I get that vibe wrong. And then there have been people who we're not going to have anything, whatever. And then we actually end up becoming friends. So, it's not a perfect system, but it's pretty on point. Like I generally know, and I can get it in passing. It's weird when it happens when I notice somebody and go, oh, that person. Okay. Oh, all right, whatever. And I think nothing else about it. And then later on, somehow me and that person do become connected. Right. And go, oh, wow. Oh, shit. Whatever that energy field is, I have it because I definitely, in a sea of people, I notice that person. And then without me forcing it, that person and I are not in similar situations. And now we're growing together and building whatever friendship, whatever level. We're figuring out how high we're going to climb on the mountain together.
Okay. Yeah. I think I kind of look around and be like, oh, we're climbing together. All right, let's keep going. Yeah. As opposed to being like, you climb with me.
I'm often the you and all y'all motherfuckers climb with me.
Yeah, I know.
Let's all go up the mountain and play mahjong.
Yes, well, that's true for mahjong generally.
Yeah, mahjong on the mountain.
Yeah. So that's one way that we build friendships. It's one way we build social connections. I think I also build friendships with food. I think that, for me,
like
food.
You and a banana are really close?
For me, food and friendship are very tied together. You and a banana are about to get close in ways, maybe anyway. Yeah, but that, I think that part of why I really enjoy our mahjong get-togethers is that there's an exchange of food. And we all, there's something about breaking bread with another person. There's something about eating with another person that I think is oddly special and intimate, even though it's not something that we would normally consider to be intimate,
I think we should, every now and then at mahjong, we should go buy French bread.
I agree. Can we pause for a second?
Yeah, of course.
How do I pause?
You have to go back to the screen.
Okay. That's not it. That's it.
I'll just give me a mark.
How do I pause it?
The pause right there. There we go. Bang.
So what do you think makes you a good friend? And give me bullet points.
Okay. Things that make Big Sexy a good friend. One, I'm inclusive. I'm inviting people. I treat people, and that's inclusive. I have sentiment about me, and a personality is very nurturing. So I honestly, I care about people. And I honestly care about people. Like, I don't just on a surface care. I always tell people, look, if I ask how you're doing, I always want the long version. I always want the truth. I always want to know what's happening, because if I'm asking, then I really do care. It's rarely ever surface level. 3, I do my best to show up. If somebody needs something, I do my best to be there. If I can't physically be there, then I'll be there emotionally, so supportive, virtually, whatever I can do to support. I do that. I provide fun and laughter and upbeat energy, and I'm silly and fun to hang around. The other thing that makes me a good friend is I am willing to walk with a person through the hard stuff.
But as long as it's within 12 to 15 minutes. So
yeah, right. right.
You're not walking much past 12 to 15 minutes.
15 minute, more than a 15-minute walk. We gotta stop somewhere and then do another 15, 20-minute walk. Right. But I will walk with people through the hard times and the hard stuff and be there. I like to believe that while I'm still working on it, I'm an active. And so people do come to me and talk to me, and I try my best. Don't always succeed. I interject myself into their situation.
Okay.
Whereas, like I said, don't always succeed. Sometimes I can't help it. It's a knee-jerk reaction. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction for humanity. And so I am an active listener. Also, I think that what I was going to say earlier is that I meet people where they are. Right. I try not to impose some kind of preconceived ideology on a person. I try to meet them where they are.
Okay. That's what, like 12 traits, 10 traits?
I don't know. I wasn't counting. You just asked me to do a bullet point.
I did. And by halfway through, I was like, I should have said 5.
You should have said my top 5 traits.
This could go for a while.
I got a list. I know what makes me an awesome human.
So, in the business of friendship, the top 3 positive traits for friendship, the most major qualities of a good friend are first, vulnerability, which is opening up to your friends, being honest, admitting your mistakes. It's really about being brave enough to be vulnerable, as opposed to keeping up a wall and making all of your interactions surface level, right? When you do that, it shows a real lack of trust. And so one way to do that is to build friendship, or good quality of good friendship is vulnerability. Consistency, good friends are reliable. They show up when it matters. They follow through when they say they will. They are consistent and they are loyal. They're a loyal force in your life. And then the third is positivity, that friends are the ones that will help you during the tough times, and they will help you to laugh through the tears. They will encourage you to reach your goals, and they are genuinely fun to be around. They add joy and playfulness to your life.
Check, check, and check.
Yeah, right. And guys, if you want to know what happens at the end of friendships, you can look at the corollary of that. If you find that you are putting up walls with a friend, if you are finding that they are lacking consistency, they're not reaching out to you, they're not reliable, they're not following through, they are not playful anymore. There's no joy in the friendship that you're holding. There are some special circumstances around that, but we can talk specifically about how to be a good friend during difficult times, but also how to be a good friend when you're having difficult times. I'm so excited for this year. I'm excited for the topics we're going to be talking about. I'm excited for the podcast. And I'm really excited to be able to help folks in an area that I think we don't get a lot of assistance, which is how do we build healthy friendships? And even as a relationship therapist, I can tell you, we don't get enough training in relationships, generally intimate partnerships, but we especially don't get a lot of training in friendships. So I'm excited to
It's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, help folks to learn how to maintain, and engage friendships and how to disengage friendships that are not supportive for you. So I have a question.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I have a question for our listeners. And I'm interested, when you think about your best friend, what is your best friend nickname? In this sense, I'm thinking, for example, I might call my best friend my bestie, my what's another word? That's what I'm trying to figure out, guys.
Sorry. I'm laughing because I'm old. And I remember back in the day,
Yes.
they were our ace boon coon.
Your ace boon coons. Okay, we'll take those.
Right.
Your straight arrow.
Your ride or dies.
Or is that from your generation also too? Your straight arrow.
I don't know. I've never heard that. If it's from my generation, it's definitely not from the sector of my generation.
You know, what might you say?
But definitely ride or dies.
Ride or die, bestie.
Yeah, my number two. My number one. Number two. My
your number two. That sounds terrible. What was the what would you call it? You know, the had the little dude and he had the thing and
the mini me.
The mini me, right?
Yeah. Your listeners didn't see it. You have to watch the video, but it took Nilla putting her pinky up to her mouth for me to figure out what the hell she was talking about. Yes.
But he had a number two.
Yes. Yes. He did have a number two. I mean, technically we all do, but yes. Yeah, I was thinking of Star Trek: The Next Generation. But I realized he's number one. And so Austin Powers, Dr. Evil made fun of that and called him his number two.
Austin Powers, thank you.
Yes.
Austin Powers.
Yes.
Number two.
Good question. So what's the nickname for your best friend?
Yeah, what do you call your best friend?
And how many of your friends do you consider a best friend?
Interesting. Okay.
I want to tag that in there.
Just tag that on in there.
Yeah.
Just throw it on in there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, some people call, this is my bestie, but how many besties do you have, right? Like,
I don't know.
Multiple besties. So I'll be interested in listening group. Share that with us. You can send us emails.
Yeah.
At rainbowdreamcatchertlp @gmail.com.
Yeah. I'm interested to see, there is an average number of friends, at least for Americans, that has been calculated what the average number of friends is. So I'm really, I'll actually, I wasn't planning on that question, but I like that question because I do want to see if our listeners are typically above average in terms of the number of friends that they hold, if they are right at the average, if they know the average. We'll maybe start our next podcast with that information.
And listeners and friends of Rainbow Dreamcatcher the Love Podcast, we appreciate y'all so very much. I just want to say that.
All right. Well, I think this sounds like a good, safe place to land.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all very much for being here with us and listening in.
Looking forward to your friendship this year. Guys, we're going to be asking you to do some more interaction
And boom. Okay. Good soft place to land.
Good, soft place to land. Is it recording?
Yeah, that's recording.
Boom! Boom!
Go ahead and give us an ending.
So that sounds like a good, soft place to land. Guys, we're going to be asking for a lot more interaction this year. I really want to hear your voices about friendship. What's been healthy for you in terms of friendship? Do you feel like you have enough friends? I've set up a voicemail line, and I'm going to add some questions to that voicemail line. When this posts, I'll go ahead and post the link down below. I'm thinking I'm pointing in the right direction, but if I'm not, who cares? And if you're listening, you wouldn't see that anyway. So the voicemail is going to allow you 5 minutes to share about your friendships, and it's a series of questions as we go throughout the year. Should I talk about this question? No, you know what? I'm going to wait until go ahead and click on it. The question is going to be a surprise. Okay.
Yeah. But we thank y'all for listening and tuning in. And this has been
Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the love podcast. Bye.
Artlist.io